Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, CesarRespino. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. It is your host, Cesar Espino, and today I have a special guest. Her name is Megan Nolan. Hey, Megan, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm excited to have you here and dive into our conversation. Before we dive in, I just want to tell people a little bit about you and just kind of having them to know you. So Megan is the creator of the Powerhouse method that combines tools of yoga, movement, breath work, and mental fitness to help them be more productive and profitable. And so that's actually pretty interesting. I like the idea of being able to combine a lot of those elements and be able to create that mindset or the ability to be more productive, which we all need to do that in our day-to-day lives. And then obviously we're always looking for, hey, how can we become more profitable, right? Before we do that, I wanted to find out more about you. It's like your upbringing, where are you originally from, and just give us a little bit of that background.
Absolutely. So I'm originally from Ontario, Canada, and I don't like snow. So I kept moving more and more west until I found myself out here in the middle of the ocean. I live on the beautiful island of Maui, Hawaii,
Nice.
and I have been here for almost 11 years. I am a personal trainer, I teach yoga, and I'm becoming a mental fitness coach. So I've been on a journey myself, both literally and internally, to truly come back to and help others come to a place of personal power and direction and resilience and determination so that we can continue to go out there and charge after your mission and your dreams.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And so, when you say you've been on your own personal journey, what does that mean, and what exactly have you been working on?
Sure. So I've been doing the work that I do professionally for about 17 years, and it's changed forms many times. But one of the biggest changes was about 5 years ago when I reached a point of burnout, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, just tapped out. And I really got to a point of what I would consider a really dark space in my life, physically, but also emotionally. Was dealing with a lot of depression and anxiety and just really wasn't sure about where I was going or what I was doing. And so I need out of necessity, changed gears and
Mhm.
recognize that I was doing so many things. And I'm sure yourself and your audience can relate. We all have all these things that we're working on, balls in the air, if you will, hats that we're wearing, all the things. And so realized that I needed to get a little bit more, a lot more intentional about what I was doing for myself so that I could continue to serve my community. And so that's when I started to bring together the different modalities that I had been studying. I've been a student of yoga for 19 years, teaching it for 17, but really always love to learn. And I like to know the why behind what we're doing. And I love the intersection between spirituality and science and where they complement each other. And so really went on a journey of understanding myself more and beginning to really witness myself and help others witness how amazing we are, because we
Mhm.
can get so in the struggle and the stuck in the gap of like, okay, here's where I am in my life, my work, my business, and here's where I want to go. And if we're fixated on the distance between it, rather than reflecting on how far we've come and what we've learned and what we've accomplished and what we've grown into, it can really create that kind of dissonance of like, oh, I really want that, but I'm nowhere close to it. And so what's wrong? And how come I can't figure it out? And all those struggle stories that we run with. So really helping people to both have the tools to physically feel strong and healthy and vibrantly energized, but also mentally and emotionally come back to that place of feeling like you're in control by living intentionally, thinking intentionally, moving with that sense of direction and purpose. Often people call that empowerment or whatever it is to you, but that's really the journey that I went on. And so now I get to help other people to walk that path as well.
Yeah, no, and I definitely love that. I mean, again, one of the things that uh, I like about what you just mentioned is the fact that you've been doing this for 17 years, yet you've been studying this for 19 years. So I might have gotten the dates incorrectly. The point that I'm trying to make is that, again, you're a student of the product, right? And we're always constantly learning. And that's one thing that I highly believe that we as entrepreneurs or as people, you gotta continue to educate yourself and learn. Even though if you're in a particular industry for so many years, I think it's so powerful that you continue to go back and redefine whatever that might be, and fine tune the teachings, because at the end of the day, that's all it is. Like I don't know where I heard this from, except I do believe that the minute that you stop learning, you're gonna start dying, because again, then you kind of lose that sense of purpose and or the sense of being able to do more for yourself and others, right? So definitely I do appreciate that. What kind of people come into your space? What are some of the challenges that maybe people come up, and how you're able to help them out?
I work with a lot of people, mostly women, that are very goal driven, that would consider themselves quote unquote high achievers, but that kind of lends to overachieving because they go into that go, 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 go mode. And often, have done yoga, have done exercise, done meditation, done this, done that, but haven't had that consistent path with it because they haven't figured out a way to make it work for them beyond, feeling good when they step off the yoga mat. So really people that, like you were saying, and I totally am, is somebody that wants to know the why behind the what. And when they do, when they really understand it, when they understand it and feel it in their body, then it really lights them up and gives them that sense of holistic health, because they've gotten to a point of, oh yeah, I'll get to that later. Oh, when was the last time I had a massage? I don't know. So I'll go to the spa for a day and I'll call that self-care. And so really remembering that it's an ongoing practice, just like how we show up on social media. You can't just go out there and like blow it up for a day and expect that you're going to fill your program, right? It's really that we need to have that consistency. So she's looking for support on that because she's feeling like many of us are. The aches, pains, and problems of working on a computer or a phone all day is a whole other issue, right? And that lends to weight gain, nagging pains in the neck, having maybe issues in her neck and shoulders, trouble sleeping, not recognizing who she sees in the mirror anymore. So there's a lot of physical issues that I help people with. But really, the true transformation is having agency, control over
Mhm.
perceived control. I mean, it's always kind of perceived control, right?
Yeah.
Having control over how she feels, because that's where we have that sense of authority, is how we feel and how we show up, so that she is really having the tools to do that from a place that feels very aligned for her and very authentic for her or
Right.
him or them.
Yeah. Yeah, or them, right? Exactly. No,
Yes.
that's awesome. One of the things that you mentioned here, which I think is pretty interesting, is the fastest way for you to get to the top of your mountain and accomplish your big goals is actually by taking strategy pauses. These pauses in your day and life are essential to refresh and refuel yourself, and truly will propel you there more quickly. So talk
Mhm.
about that, right? And that's one of the things that you have, right? The part of the intentional process. What does that exactly mean? Or somebody that maybe haven't done any kind of work with you in terms of that, how can I put that into practice on a day-to-day basis if I wanted to. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Great question. So what I take people back to is if you've gone on a hike and you may, have climbed to the top of an actual mountain or just climbed around or what have you, is that when we do something like that, unless you're like totally boss and you're training for some sort of marathon or what have you, typically when we're climbing or we're going on a hike, we stop. We stop. We fix our shoelaces, we have some water, we have a snack, maybe put your foot up on a rock and stretch your legs for a second, what have you. That's essential in order for you to be able to get to the top of the mountain or to the trailhead or, complete the circuit, if you will. And so really important is that we think about our life that way and our day that way. Because as much as we think that we can go, 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 we can do that to a certain point, and then typically it's a wall that we run into, right? Or we get burnt out, or we, wah,
Right.
scream at our
Yeah.
kids or our partner or what have you. And so if we are intentional about pausing at the beginning of the day, ideally, because it truly sets the tone for the day, but then periodically throughout the day, because we're not designed to sit all day. And so that's why your body is complaining if you happen to do that. B, your brain doesn't really focus very well after about the 45-minute mark. It likes novelty. It also likes repetition, but it likes novelty. So when we take away, this is totally a performance and productivity hack, is when we step away from the computer and look away from the computer. Ideally, you go outside, maybe your dog has to go out for a pee or what have you, or you do a little stretching or maybe some push-ups. I don't know, whatever it feels like to you, is it gives you that natural boost of energy, right? We're all looking for more energy, and often it comes in the form of caffeination or what have you. But you can generate energy from within your body by moving your body. The fastest way to change your state is to change your body. And so doing something like that is very powerful to refuel you. So the way that we can do a power pause, and we can do one together right now really quickly, is there's 3 questions to ask yourself. So I'll invite you to do this along with me. And for those of you that it's safe for you to do so, let's do this first part with your eyes closed. Obviously, if you're driving or operating heavy machinery, please keep your eyes open. So other than that, if it's safe for you to do so, close your eyes, and we're going to ask ourselves a question internally. Okay, so you don't need to say it to me, but just say it in your head. Ask yourself, where is my breath? And the answer is more of a feeling and a sensing. So you get the answer from your body. Notice how that powerful question brings your attention to your breath, and it begins to allow you to tune into the natural rhythm of your breath, which thankfully is happening without you thinking about it. But when you think about it, it shifts you. So you notice how as you go to the breath and you just breathe, so now breathe a little bit slower and deeper. I want you to tune into what sensations are coming to you now. Do you feel yourself relaxing, maybe softening, maybe calming down, or maybe something different? So that's the first question to ask, is where's my breath? So keeping your eyes closed, the second question is, who am I being right now? Who am I being right now? And this question has to do with your big vision and your goals that you have for yourself. Are you being that version of you that lives in your vision? That one that is what that will take you to the top of the mountain, if you will? Or are you being frustrated and tired and worried and overdoing it and all of that? Or are you being calm? Are you being happy, positive, optimistic? So who am I being right now? And really let that answer come again from your heart. So come again from your heart, or maybe, somewhere else in your body, but not necessarily from your mind. Okay, so we want to really get into the sensation of it. And then the last question is, what do I need to bring myself back into balance right now? And so when we're taking a power pause, there's lots of different ways you can take it. There's so many tools that we have in yoga and breath work and all of that. So if you are feeling, oh, I don't know, I don't know if I can do it. This is really tired. Then what you need to bring yourself in balance is to do something that will energize you, right? And whatever that is for you. And then if you are feeling a little bit frantic, wound up, then we do things that ground you down. But ultimately, we all want to do things to move us back into that powerful, strong, confident posture. So a simple way to do that is to either plant your sit bones down or your feet, whatever you're grounding into right now. Plant yourself down. So press down into your seat and your legs, and then lift yourself up, lift your chest, roll your shoulders back, move your head back, and then lift your posture back up. So you're in that strong, confident posture, like you're about to walk onto the biggest stage of your life and you are going to rock it. So hold that posture in your body right now and stretch your arms out really wide and take a big deep breath. Breathe in and breathe it out. Yes, yes. Reach your arms out wide. Maybe that's out in a V shape or a T shape or a victorious shape over your head. Do it one more time. So take another big deep breath. Reach up, stretch out, get as much as you can, as big space as you can. Big deep breath. And then exhaling. When you're ready, open your eyes. So those are the three pillars, is your breath, your being, and balance. So
Wow.
the questions: where is my breath? Who am I being? What do I need to come back into balance?
And I got to tell you, those are actually some very, very powerful questions when you start thinking about it deep down and really honing into those questions. And definitely everybody listening to this has to do this exercise because obviously it's going to put you in tune of trying to better understand and get those answers, because a lot of times we're looking for those things, right? Um, I want to talk about the breath work because I do this. I do breath work once a week every Monday. And when I first did it the first time, maybe about a year ago, it literally broke me down, right? I didn't think it was, and it broke me down because there was a lot of things, a lot of sensations, a lot of things that were coming into my space. And um, definitely is a very, in my opinion, a very powerful practice to be able to connect. Uh, I don't know how to explain it, right? Nevertheless, I wanna ask you. You've been doing this for quite some time, and just going through this exercise and asking those questions, they're very powerful. What is the from your perspective, one of the things, benefits, or certain benefits of doing some of these practices like the breath work and even asking these questions, right? To be able to get you to get forward, closer to your near future, right?
There's a lot of benefits. It really depends on the direction you want to go. I mean, it's amazing because, and I love that you're doing breath work. Amazing. Good for you. Gold star.
Thank you. Yeah.
There's so many practices that are coming to the forefront of our knowledge now that are really ancient wisdom traditions that have been around for thousands of years, practiced by a variety of different cultures, as well as traditions and movements and that. And so it's incredible. And so there's a lot of research that's coming out about, the benefits of yoga from the physical perspective: bone density, muscle, hormonal balance, stress reduction, hormone regulation, mood enhancement, focus. All, like, we could go down a train of that. And then we also could go down the train of, we are all so busy in our mind, in our life. There's, like, we're literally getting like bing, 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 bing all
Mhm.
the time on our computers and our phones, and there's constant distractions. And so I think that the ancient wisdom traditions of yoga and meditation are never more applicable than they've been now, because they help us to come back into that strong posture, strong balance in our body, but really because they bring us back to a place of presence within ourself. Because it's so easy, especially over the last few years, to get caught up in the overwhelm of what's going on in the world and also in our own life, and to give us that space to come back to that feels very peaceful, that feels very grounding. And sometimes that's a physical space for people. Maybe it's somewhere you love to go, in your home or nearby or on vacation or what have you. But really what these tools do is give you a space that you can come into, and a place that you can come back to that is your true center, that you can access anywhere, anytime. And the amazing thing about these tools, and the breath work in particular, is that it does so very quickly, and it's a tool that you can use anywhere. Like we both, everyone here is breathing right now, thankfully, and you can do the breath while you're listening to us talk. While you're in a meeting, you can just slow yourself down and focus on your breath. And the American Institute of Stress, which, you know, they know all about stress, has recognized that within 3 deep breaths, literally about 20 seconds, there's a measurable change in your body and in your nervous system.
Mm.
And so it's incredibly potent for you to have these tools. And especially because when we're in that frantic state, or if you're in a struggle story, or you're finding that inner critic is rah, rah, rah in your head, recognizing the negative emotions that come along with it and using the breath work or using the movement, the power pause questions to come back to that place actually shuts down activity in the amygdala, which is the part of the brain responsible for fight or flight, and shifts you into the activity of the prefrontal cortex, which is the higher function area of the brain, which is where you tap into creativity and
Mm.
calm and patience and inspiration and laser focused attention. And so that's the area that we want to be living in and going back to as often as we can. Obviously, we can't live there all the time. We're not
Right.
superhuman yet, but these tools are so powerful for that. And as you experience for yourself, the tool of the breath, the ha, literally is so potent, because in yoga and in many different disciplines, we believe that the breath carries a life force energy to it. In yoga, we call it prana, martial arts call it chi, like here in Hawaii, they call it mana, you know, whether you want to call it that or simply oxygen, like it's literally vital. And when we move it through the body, it's kind of like, I equate it to a power wash. You know, if you take a power washer out onto your patio and there's muck and there's stuff and there's dirt and what have you, it's kind of like what's happening inside is sometimes there is that physical stagnation, toxic, etc. And the breath goes in and kind of power washes it out of you, which often lends to a bit of a breakdown, but it allows us to move through that process, because if we don't process it in our mind or our heart, it gets stored in our body. And this isn't, you know, a wild out there concept. This is also
Mm-hmm.
very measurable as far as trauma and experiences. And so having these tools to process them means that clarity and that cleansing of your own body from an energetic sense, but also a physical sense, because we don't want to be carrying that junk around with us. Right? It's
Yeah.
like the junk, we get that junk drawer in our house, we look in the garage and we're like, whoa, has anybody cleaned this ever? Like, let's get in there and clean it, so you are feeling lighter and you're coming at things in that place of, yes, feeling like you can overcome anything because you've already been through that stuff and you've learned lessons and you're here.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You know, one thing that comes to mind, and not sure if you come across this, or maybe you can help with this. Here's, I feel like there's so many different uh, good disciplines and things that we can do. You know, you talk about yoga, we're talking about breath work, you know, meditation, uh, affirmations, different things that we can utilize. That really, when we look at it from that perspective, is not a huge amount of stressful in our bodies. It's something good, right?
Mhm.
Except I feel like there's a lot of people that do not take advantage of those tools that are available to us to be able to start changing and shifting our lives from one side of it to another, right? Why do you feel that perhaps many people haven't discovered, or maybe they know about it, they haven't practiced it, or they don't, you know, get themselves involved into, you know, again, yoga, breath work, meditation, things like that? Why do people deviate from that when that could be an answer for many of the challenges that we're going through?
That's a great question, and it's a very common struggle for people is we, you know, and I know for me, I call it the shiny squirrel syndrome. It's like, oh, this looks cool, I'm gonna go try this. Ooh, what's over there? Ooh,
Yeah.
what's over there? You know, and we get so inundated with all these different things that we don't get into our groove with it to have the consistency to feel and experience and maybe even see the transformation. And we're like, ah, that didn't do anything for me,
Yeah.
because we didn't give it the time to fruit, if you will. Like if you think of, you know,
Mm.
when you plant a seed, we're like, we plant the seed and it gets a little sprout and then we forget about it. We go plant something else. It's like, oh, nothing, it died, never fruited, you know? And so when we have the consistency and the direction, and I think for a lot of people, it's really understanding, not on, you know, some people like to go really deep and they want to know what it's doing inside their brain and all that. But when we understand what it really is helping us to achieve and to overcome, then we're more likely to stick with it because we understand what it's really doing for us beyond, yeah, I heard it's good for me. It might make my butt look bigger or might make me feel a little more calm or whatever, and so I think it often comes back to the right time, the right teacher,
Mhm.
having the path laid out for us, because when we try to kind of DIY it ourselves or like go down the YouTube tunnel of rabbit
Yeah.
holing, we can get, we tried this, we tried that, but we don't have that consistency of direction, which lends to our overwhelm. And we're like, I don't have time for that. I'll do it later.
Yeah.
But when we recognize that it can become the foundation for everything without it taking all day, right? And so that's the beauty of what I do, is weaving it together so that we're building this practice or routine or ritual, what have you, that really does give you that fortitude and resilience and strength, both on the physical level, but mentally and emotionally, having that inner stability as well. So having something that is multi-layered, multi-benefits is really what I think helps people to really have the lasting power with it.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. I mean, I think that we got to be able to one way or the other get somebody that knows what they're doing, right? And be able to do. I'm a firm believer of having a mentor. I mean, again, you mentioned that yourself. You've been doing this for so many years, and just about the same amount of time that you've been doing this, you've been educating yourself. You're learning from somebody else, and they're still teaching you. And so I do believe that there's a big element of being able to find a mentor in any areas of our lives, whatever that might be, to really help us get moving in our lives. The maybe the one question that I will probably have with what you mentioned is, when is it the right time? When would that be, right? Because a lot of times we tend to procrastinate and we tend to wait until next Monday and then next Monday comes and it's like, oh, you know what, next Tuesday, right? And so I always go back to that. What is the right time? I do believe that the right time a lot of times is today, even if I don't have everything ready. Today is the right time, because I do believe that we are here today and we are gone tomorrow. And so from my perspective, let's figure out what we can do to utilize today in some sort of form, at least get my feet wet a little bit and understand or contact somebody or do something. So that's probably the only thing that I would say is, like, a lot of people are looking for the right time, yet I don't know when that might be, and maybe today, right?
Absolutely. Yes. And especially in my industry, it's Monday. I'll start on Monday. How about I start at the beginning of the month? You know what? It's almost January. I'll just start in January. And the longer we put that off, the more challenging it will be to start, right?
Right.
Rumi said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And oftentimes that first step is the hardest.
Mm,
And that first step of recognition of, I'm sick of feeling like this often motivates people a lot of I want to do something, but I don't know what to do. And that's where the overwhelm can kick in. And as you said, there's lots of ways you can just start. And maybe it's somebody that you've seen on social media, just sending them a message or looking at their website and reaching out to them, or trying to work out on YouTube or whatever it is. But I'm a firm believer of taking messy action.
mm,
You don't need to have the perfect plan laid out
right.
before you start. It's literally, all right, well, she said that standing up taller and breathing deeply would help me. Let's just start there.
Yeah.
Standing up taller, breathing deep, right? Because it's everything has a momentum to it and a cumulative effect. And I want you to, if your brain is saying, because anytime you're stretching yourself out of your comfort zone and challenging yourself and trying something new, your brain will very quickly say, no, remember that last time you totally screwed that up? Oh, that one didn't work. Stop. And so really just recognizing and going to the top of your mountain, whatever that is. And by that, I mean, what is your goal? What are you feel like you're here for? Your life purpose, your impact goals, income goals, whatever that is for you. And I want you to ask yourself, what does that version of me do? How did they move their body? What is their energy like? How did they stand? And so knowing that is such valuable information for you to get there, because that's the version of you that we get to embody and live as now in order to get there faster. And so thinking of it from that perspective, but also, not to be drastic, but this often helps with people, is thinking about the last of your days. If you're there, on the porch in the rocking chair, hopefully, got your faculties about you and you've got it all there. Of course, you want to be able to move and get up and have another cup of tea. You want to be able to go to the toilet on your own, all of those things, because the ability to do those things at that point in your life depends on what you do today. And
Mm,
so little steps forward will get you there. And it may not feel like a big jump right away, but it is that consistency that is our biggest struggle, but is the biggest payoff.
yeah, no, definitely. And the people that work with you, at what capacity do they work with you? Is it live, virtual? How can people work with you? Number one. Number two, how can they contact you and connect with you to learn more about the things that you do?
Absolutely. Well, if you happen to find yourself here on Maui, I love to do in-person sessions. Other than that, I definitely do virtual sessions via the magic of a Zoom.
Yeah,
So I do work with people one-on-one, depending on where you're at and what you'd like to create in your life. And I have a group coaching experience that's a really beautiful way to have that accountability and community and support, but also the flexibility to do the sessions on your own at your own time in your own time zone. So that is coming up again in September. I'm not sure when you all are listening to this, but
yeah,
definitely I have a gift for you. So you can head over to giftfrommegan.com and grab my free energy fix blueprint. So it gives you the tools to change your energy, let it like super quick. And so that resets your internal state, your clarity of mind, your focus, your willingness to keep going, keep trying, all of that. So you can grab that at Gift from Megan and we can connect there. And then also on Instagram, I am Megan Nolan. So it's I am Megan Nolan. I'd love to hang out over there. I share lots of tips and tricks that you can implement into your life to put these tools to use for you, especially where you need them the most at
yeah.
work.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's awesome. I love that. I love that. So you talked about doing a lot of healing, a lot of work on yourself. Do you have any specific habits, rituals that you do on a day-to-day basis to just start your day or keep you in a positive state of mind?
Yes, I definitely have a few. I mean, so one of them that I think is really powerful is the first time you step your feet on the floor, you get out of bed. Like before you stand up, you put your feet on the floor. I have a thyroid condition, so I take my thyroid medication. So I'm about to stand up out of bed. And before I do that, I ground myself. And then as I stand up and I say, today's going to be a good day.
Mm,
And we start the day with that intention, and it's shown, scientifically proven, to have a ripple effect into your life and stack the habits based on that. And so that's my first one. And then I have my warm lemon water, because unless you're drinking water all night long while you're sleeping, typically we wake up a little dehydrated. So let's get after it and have some water first thing. Very powerful for your body, overall function of your brain, etc. Water while I'm doing my journaling and visualization and intention setting and connecting to the energy of my vision. And so by that I mean the top of the mountain me. Who is she? How does she talk to herself? How would she like to show up? What does my business need from me today? What does my community need from me today? So that I can really feel into that. And then I use my movement practice. So that's my non-negotiable. I may not have time for the visualization and meditation for the long ones that I like to do, at least about 10 minutes of that. My non-negotiable is my movement practice. Sometimes that is literally just moving to lay on the mat and laying there if I'm super tuckered out and doing breath work. And other times, most of the time, it's dancing and strength training movements, yoga movements, stretches, yoga postures, so that I can really come into my body, because we spend so much time up here, but so much of our wisdom and our guidance comes from here. And so
mhm.
getting into my body and activating the energy of my intention so that I can really, invigorate myself with that, and then go about my day. So
Yeah.
those are my non-negotiables.
I love it, and I love the idea of making sure that you wake up and you have a positive intention, right, for the day, as opposed to saying, "Oh, I'm tired," or "Crap, it's going to be a long day," or whatever that might be. Like words do matter in what you say to yourself and how you say it. can make a
Mhm.
big difference. So the idea of having that intention first day in the day, I love that. Absolutely incredible to be able to do that. For the people that are listening to us and watching us, you've given us a lot of great tips, by the way. If they are going through some sort of challenge, whatever challenge that might be, what is one thing you can say to them that they can start doing to start overcoming that challenge?
Hmm. Yeah. In addition to what I've been sharing about having the big vision and all of that, one thing that's really been helpful for me when I've been at challenging times in my life is, excuse me, is gratitude,
Mm,
and really going back to that. And I know that that's talked about a lot, but again, it's something that has so much research behind it. Because when you're feeling like, oh, I don't know what to do, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this in that space, then we want to take a look at what is there in front of you and what tools you have already. And maybe that's your support system, your parents, your dog. I don't know. Like all of those things are helpful for us. So really remembering that. And I think another thing that I find helpful too is periodically, and it kind of goes to the mountain analogy, is that it's really important for us to pause and take a look back and see how far we've come and
mm,
what we have accomplished and what we've already learned and overcome. Because I find, at least when you're in the thick of something, it's hard to see past that challenge
yeah.
and everything that it's presenting for you. So if you take a look back and reflect on how resilient you are, because you've gotten up those other times, you've gotten
Mhm.
through whatever that was. Maybe you got knocked down and you're making your way back up again. And so it really, I think, provides an opportunity to acknowledge ourselves, because it's really easy to take a look back and be like, oh, well, you screwed that up. No, that didn't work, and so it's all in the perspective. I guess that's the tool, is it's all in the perspective that we take on things.
Yeah, and we tend to be very hard on ourselves too, right? I mean, we sometimes forget how far we've come and all of the accomplishments that we have, and again, just being able to be grateful for even the little things, right? You know, the fact that I can see, I can watch,
Mhm.
I can walk, I can do whatever. I always tell people that if you're watching this and you're listening to this, that means that God or that greater power or whatever you believe in is not done with you. That means that there's so much for you to do, and even with all the challenges, all the struggles that you've gone through, you're still here watching, listening to this podcast. That means there's a bigger purpose for you, and you got to go out and figure that out. And you talked about ways to start looking at that peak of that mountain and start redefining what is that purpose, what is that reason that you're here for. So I definitely appreciate that for all of that, Megan. Anything else you want to share before I let you go?
Sure. One thing that we can really take charge and be in charge of is how we feel. How we feel is based on how we think and how we speak to ourselves. And so remembering that you, in that sense, are far more powerful than you give yourself credit for a lot of the time, right? And remembering that that is your true power, is to be intentional about how you show up, because that will affect everything. Who you're being while you're doing all the things is so, so important. And so really taking that to heart and taking whatever tools landed for you here, but maybe committing to take that power pause first thing in the morning and ask yourself those questions, so that you are very aware of how you're stepping into the day. Because it's so easy for us to just grab one of these and start, oh, email,
Mhm.
and then we're halfway through the day and we don't even know what happened. And so really be intentional of how you start your day and how you show up into it, because it really does change everything.
Yeah. And would you say being intentional on how you show up for yourself or for other people?
Well, how you show up for yourself is how you show up for other people.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In a sense, because
Right.
because that definitely impacts who the you is that shows up in that
Right.
interaction. So
Yeah.
it really starts with how we show up for ourselves.
Yeah, and I love that. And the reason why I was asking is because sometimes we're so worried about what is the other people are gonna say, and you know, there's that, you know, the way that I'm showing myself up for some other people is not the way that I'm showing up for myself, because you know I might be going through some depression or I might be going through whatever that might be, right? And so
Mhm.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I do believe that first you got to make sure that you take care of within, and then you can take care of without with the
Mhm.
outside, right? So yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
Megan, again, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate having this conversation with you. Really love all the topics and things that we talked about. So, once again, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun to chat with you too.
Yeah, definitely. And for the rest of you guys, do me a favor. Make sure that you go ahead and connect with Megan. I'm going to have all her information here so you guys can reach out to her, get that free gift. And do me a favor, share this message because somebody definitely needs to hear this message. And I'll see you guys at the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Thank you.
Hi, I'm CesarRespino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.CesarRespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.